California readers. Today, I'm here with Bobby Farrelly, who's one half of the comedic duo, the Farrelly brothers. Together, they have wrote, produced, and directed some of the most famous comedy movies of all of the past 25 years, including Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary, and Fever Pitch. Hi, Mr. Farrelly. It's great to meet you.
It's great to meet you. Thanks for coming over. Really, it's an honor. I know you've interviewed a lot of famous people in the last year, and it's an honor for me to be one of them.
It's an honor for me to interview you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What is your proudest professional moment?
I think probably the first movie we ever made was Dumb and Dumber, and we had never made a movie before. My brother Peter and I, we had wrote movies. We had written screenplays, and so we were never sure though if we could direct a movie, but we couldn't find a director to do it. So we said, hey, we'll direct it ourselves, and we thought, hopefully we can do it. And so when it came out and it did well and people liked it, it was a very proud moment for us. We were very happy that we had pulled it off.
That must have felt so proud, your first ever movie that you did.
Right, it was, yeah.
Especially because you're taking a big risk of being a director for it when you just wrote a bunch of movies before.
That's correct. It is different being a screenwriter than being a director, but we spoke to some other directors, guys who had done it before. We went in and we asked them, questions. What do you do? How do you do this? And we got enough answers that we thought we would be able to do it. But we didn't know for sure. So when it came out a success, we were very happy.
Well, you did your research.
We did.
What is the most challenging part of writing a movie, and what is the most rewarding part?
Okay, the most challenging part, I think, of writing a movie is to try to write something that's original. Because there's been so many movies made that they sort of fall into like categories. Like if you make a movie it's called a romantic comedy, a lot of them are very similar.
Yeah.
They're similar because they've been making them for so many years. So it's always a challenge to try to tell a story in a new way, in a way that feels fresh, but at the same time giving the audience those things that the audience likes, like a happy ending and laughs and a little bit of suspense and a little bit of like romance and stuff like that. So it's a challenge to give them what they want, but do it in an original way.
I feel like it's kind of like Sudoku. You have to do you have to make it in the exact different categories that the audience wants. Like you said, like it needs to have a happy ending, and it needs to fit in the categories and stuff. It's kind of.
It's absolutely right, and I like doing Sudoku, and it's like that. A lot of times when you're writing, when I do Sudoku, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, I can't figure out anything anymore, and then I put it down, and maybe I'll go back to it an hour later, and all of a sudden I see something.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, here's one here. This is where the 7 goes, or something. So, and writing's like that too. It's like sometimes you get to a point, and you're like, God, what do we do now? So you just can't think of anything. You just step away from it, and you come back, and all of a sudden, boom, you get an idea comes to you.
Exactly. What is the most valuable life lesson you learned throughout your career?
I think the most valuable life lesson that I learned throughout our career was to be nice to people. Was to, particularly because we make comedies, and when you're making a comedy, of course, you want it to be funny. And in order for it to be funny, it's really helpful if everybody's having a good time and people are in a good mood. So my brother and I always went out of our way to try to treat everyone as nicely as we could. And it really worked for us because everyone's in a good mood. And when they're in a good mood, it just, the comedy flows a little easier. So it was kind of a win-win. We learned that when you're nice to people, you get a better performance out of them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the movies came out better, it's seemingly to us because we were nice to people. So that's something that I try to take to the rest of my life and just say, hey, it's easier to be nice to people than to always be, tangling with people, right?
Yeah, of course. I have a brother, and sometimes we really disagree. Are you and your brother usually on the same page, or is there a lot of compromising that goes on?
Wow, good question.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Anytime you're working with a partner, you're not always going to agree. What we do agree on is that we always want to make our movie as entertaining as we possibly can, or as funny as we possibly can. So we have the same goal in mind. But sometimes we see a different way of getting there. So we've kind of learned along the way that, like, if my brother's saying, hey, I think, this should happen, you know, this, and I don't see it that way, but I have to say to myself, he might be right, and I have to open myself up to the possibility of that. And then when you do that, and you start thinking along his, you know, if I start thinking along his lines, all of a sudden we might come up with something that's even better than he thought, you know, we do it all the time. So you really, if you can't, you don't always get your way, you know, let's just put it that way. But again, you know, we agree that we want it to be as entertaining as possible, and so, you know, hopefully we both get that.
Yeah, you both have the same goal in mind, but you have different ways, so, yeah.
That's correct, yeah. If we both thought exactly the same way all the time, one of us would be unnecessary, right?
Yeah.
But instead, we don't think exactly the same way. We think, we sort of, you know, I guess the expression would be we complement each other.
Yes.
You know, he does things that I don't do well. He's really good with music and things like that. He always has a really good idea once we filmed the movie about a typical, you know, type of song that we might put in a scene, and he's real good like that, a lot better than I am. And probably I'm like, for you know, I might see the movie in a way where it's like I can see the structure of it, and I can feel like the pace of it and the timing maybe a little better than he does. So those are just, you know, instances of things that we do better than one another.
Yes. What is new and exciting for the Farrelly brothers coming up?
Wow. Well, one of the things that we're doing, the one that's most exciting to me, is we're taking our old movie, There's Something About Mary, which we made in almost 20 years ago now, 1998, and we're adapting it to into a Broadway musical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're taking the story, and my brother and I are writing it, you know, trying to adapt it to a play, and we're writing songs, because it's going to be a musical, so we have to come up with, you know, 20 or 25 songs in it, which we have never really done before, writing lyrics. No, we won't really write the music per se, but we're going to try to write the lyrics to the songs and hopefully make them real funny, and you know, so that's something that we're doing right now. That's a whole lot of fun, and we're also dabbling in a few TV shows. My brother just shot a TV show called Louder Milk, which he's in the editing room finishing right now, and I am working on a TV show. I'm actually going up to Canada next week to work on a silly comedy called Trailer Park Boys. That's on Netflix. So we're doing a little bit of TV stuff, we're doing the play, and we're also always looking at movies. But you know, movies they're harder to make nowadays. There's not as many people going to the movies, so they're not making as many.
Yeah. So you have a lot of TV stuff in the play. So Roche Reporter readers, you have a lot to look forward to. I always end my interviews with the question, what is your favorite meal and dessert?
That's my favorite meal and dessert. Wow. I think that my favorite meal is shepherd's pie.
Yes.
I love shepherd's pie. If you know what it is, it's you know, mashed potatoes and meat and corn and all. It's all made together. And my mother used to make it when we were young. She doesn't make it anymore. I don't know why. Too much work, but I just love it. If I go to a restaurant and I see that, I'll order it all the time. And for a dessert, you know, I live here in Duxbury, Mass, and there's some really good ice cream shops. There's one called Farrelly's right up the road. Maybe your parents will take you there on the way out of town. But I would go there and get some homemade ice cream.
It sounds very delicious.
It is.
Thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, you too.